Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. In an interview for the weekly newspaper Gazeta Polska, Polish President Andrzej Duda was asked about the possibility of Poland joining the nuclear sharing programme as part of making NATO nuclear weapons available in connection with the Russian aggression in Ukraine and the Kremlin's threats against European countries. President Andrzej Duda said that the Polish authorities are talking to the United States representatives about the possibility of Poland joining the nuclear sharing programme as part of NATO. The problem is, above all, that we don't have nuclear weapons. There is no indication that we would have them as Poland in the near future. There is always a potential opportunity to participate in the nuclear sharing programme. We talked to American leaders about whether the United States was considering this possibility. The topic is open. According to the opposition, raising the topic of the nuclear weapons in the era of economic crisis is only a smokescreen. All this in order to cover the path, lack of coal and the energy disaster we are heading towards. Talking today about nuclear programs is also a way of scaring Poles. If we talked about it a year, 2 years ago, we would probably have many votes against it. I already hear this opposition clatter. Today we are in a completely different situation, and every one element that could affect, even in the smallest way, and improve the safety of our homeland is needed. Currently, 5 countries use the nuclear weapons sharing program under NATO, including Italy, the Netherlands, Belgium, Turkey and Germany. It would include Poland as an elite member of the North Atlantic Alliance Club, a club of groups of nations that are responsible for the security of our entire region. There is no shortage of voices that the agreement may violate the principles of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. That's not true. If we talk about spreading nuclear weapons, this is the wrong term, because we're talking about carriers of nuclear weapons, which are the property of the United States. Nuclear weapons at the disposal of NATO. They cannot be used alone. However, their very presence will be an influence on Russia's policy. President Andrzej Duda pointed out that Poland's possible accession to the nuclear sharing program is the matter for the distant future. According to some experts, this can be a prospect in 5 to 8 years' time. Day 224 of the war in Ukraine. A Russian train used for transporting nuclear weapons is moving towards the border with Ukraine. The military mobilization announced by Vladimir Putin is draining the Russian security sector. According to experts, the incorporation of military reservists into the regular army has a greater impact on the political situation in Russia than on the war in Ukraine.
In the last 72 hours alone, Ukraine forces have liberated an area of more than 2,000 square kilometers. In the south, the Russian army retreated to the vicinity of Kherson. In the liberated territories, Ukrainian soldiers are greeted enthusiastically. As part of a defense operation, the Ukrainian army performed swift and powerful operations in the south of the country. Just a week after the Russian invaders conducted pseudo-referenda, Ukrainian troops recaptured dozens of towns in the Kharkiv, Luhansk, and Donetsk oblasts. Our soldiers don't stop. The expulsion of the occupant from all of our land is only a matter of time. Ukrainian troops broke 20 kilometers deep into the zone occupied by Russian troops in the vicinity of Severodonetsk. The installation of Ukraine artillery systems in the newly seized positions makes it possible to attack other positions of the Russian forces, including the Svat-Kreminna road. According to our intelligence, men of recruiting age living in Lugansk are immediately sent to the front to fill the shortages in the personnel of the Russian army. All necessary verification procedures, including for a medical commission, are omitted. Those mobilized also lack adequate training. Military successes in the north and south enable Ukrainian forces to conduct a coordinated counteroffensive. The leader of the Belarusian opposition, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, believes that Russia's military failures in Ukraine may shake the power of President Alexander Lukashenko.
We see that there are signs that Russian troops can deploy Belarusian land again, and we are preparing our partisans, to act decisively at this very moment. The acts of sabotage that took place in February and March can be repeated again, though people who are making these acts of sabotage can face.
Meanwhile, the leaders of the European Union member states reached an agreement today on the 8th package of sanctions against Russia. The main part of the package is a price cap for gas from the east, and the restrictions will also affect Russian wood and steel exports. The sanctions will reduce Moscow's revenues from the export of raw materials by as much as 11 billion euros.
This war has entered in a new phase. The Ukrainian army keeps reporting impressive successes in its fight against the aggressor. We all saw the images of deeply relieved people welcoming Ukrainian soldiers. And I could see with my own eyes when I was 3 weeks ago in Kiev that life.
Moreover, the U.S. Department of Defense once again extended a helping hand towards Kiev in the form of a new military aid package. The Pentagon will soon send HIMARS rocket launchers, howitzers, and artillery shells to Ukraine.
I'm proud to announce a new security assistance package to provide Ukraine with more weapons, ammunition, and equipment that its forces are using so effectively on the battlefield. This authorization of a presidential drawdown of security assistance valued at up to $625.
Coordinated military support to Kiev from Western partners is fueling the potential of the Ukrainian counteroffensive. The Kremlin is unable to face Ukrainian forces and therefore constantly mentions the possible use of nuclear weapons. According to experts, nuclear blackmail cannot last forever and will soon become ineffective.
The international conference, Europe, Poland, Ukraine, Rebuild Together, on the economic situation in Ukraine, the prospect for Ukraine's development and its impact on the world economy has opened in Warsaw. The conference is being attended by experts, representatives of governments, ministries and the parliaments of Poland and Ukraine, as well as representatives of the European Union institutions. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki expressed the hope that Polish businesses would participate in the reconstruction of Ukraine based on a new Marshall Plan. Looking at the new security architecture that we must build together with Ukraine to deeply orient the entire energy policy. We are organising wise aid together with the United States, hand in hand for Ukraine, so that it will survive as a sovereign state. And it was the foreground that, as we remember from Polish history textbooks and Polish literature, we were. Head of the Polish government emphasised that as long as Russia is waging a criminal war in Ukraine, it could not be considered a business partner for Europe. Poland is not only in favour of freezing this crime-based Russian capital, but we are also in favour of its confiscation and the appropriation of this capital from the Russian Federation, Russian oligarchs, for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Work is also underway to prepare a Polish-Ukrainian treaty. The current priority is to create an appropriate legal framework that would facilitate the cooperation of Polish and Ukrainian businesses. First, Poland adopted the law on Ukrainians, giving them similar rights to those we have in our country, apart from political rights, but also the response of Ukraine, which was to adopt the same law concerning Poles. Business, apart from direct support for Ukraine from allies, is an important element of building security. The strong Polish-Ukrainian alliance slightly changes the position of our region in Europe and strengthens it greatly. Today, Polish and Ukrainian entrepreneurs can meet each other and exchange information and observations on the Ukrainian market. When planning cooperation in the field of business, one cannot forget about the current military needs of Ukraine. We have a specialized international donor coordination center. We are responsible for the transfer of this equipment to the territory of Ukraine. We are also responsible for training Ukrainian soldiers to use this equipment, which is a new technology. There is no shortage of willingness to develop mutual business projects. We are talking not only about the past, but also what Ukraine needs now, at least when it comes to shelters where people can shelter their lives. We really want Ukraine to be able to develop further. It is a great opportunity for Polish business. We are close here because we understand better what the Russian invasion is.
We are very appreciated the government of the Republic of Poland and our partner from ZPP and another business association. What you decided organize with conference, not after the war, not after our victory, we believe in this together. But now we need to be prepared for the reconstruction, the rebuilding of Ukraine.
According to the Ukrainian government, the World Bank and the European Union, the reconstruction of Ukraine after the war will cost at least €400 billion. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.